Hello, Abby of Abby Tales Pet Services here, dog trainer, and I'm doing this video in partnership with Cockapoo Charlie Chapman. Most of you will know that this particular account has been doing challenges, so a lockdown challenge and winter challenge, and I'm fully behind these because they're fabulous for both dogs and their owners to keep us going in these challenging times. So the focus of this video is about guilt. So we discussed this, myself and Cockapoo Charlie Chapman, and it seems to be that people are worried and feel guilty about multiple things relating to dogs and lockdown, right? So we're going to be covering feeling guilty about leaving your dog if they're not become used to being left, or they've become used to not being left. So either you got them as a pup during lockdown 1 or 2, or even just now when you're preparing, or you had the dogs before lockdown and now they've got used to you not leaving the house and you want to remedy that. You're feeling guilty or struggling with working from home and having a puppy or a dog. Usually it's struggling with having a puppy. It's a little more time consuming than a fully grown dog, but there are exceptions. Yes, those are the main things. Okay, so, but before I get my teeth into helping you with leaving your dog and getting your dog used to being left alone, and you becoming used to leaving your dog alone and not feeling guilty, and juggling working from home and having a puppy or a dog, but more focus on pups, I just want to put a little thing out there to anyone who's watching this who doesn't have a dog yet but is thinking about getting one, especially at the moment. We've just had lockdown 3, I think it's being called, announced yesterday, and a few things need to be confirmed, but still, if you are thinking about getting a dog, welcoming a dog into your family, whether that be a puppy or rescue dog, but especially a puppy, just make sure you've thought about it in enough detail. You've analysed whether you are suitable for a puppy, not just whether a puppy is suitable for you. Remember, dogs will live, depending on the breed, between 10, and again if it's a cross it can live over 20 years, but on average between 10 and 15 years. This is a massive responsibility. So if you're honest with yourself and you don't think you're going to have enough time during and after lockdown, because we're not going to be in lockdown for years, so just, you may have time now, but are you going to have time afterwards? If the realistic answer and truthful answer is no, do not get a puppy or rescue a dog. It's not fair. Okay, I don't mean to bring it down here, but we need to be realistic as a society. If you're not going to be able to provide properly for an animal, then don't get one. Okay, that's we'll go on now. So, for those who have dogs, right, leaving your dog alone, right, I have multiple videos about getting your dog used to being left alone and the importance of getting your dog used to being left alone. A video called Getting Your Dog Used to Being Left Alone can be found on my YouTube channel, Abby Tales Pet Services. However, we will go over that in a nutshell. Now, so it's very, very important whether your pup is 8 weeks, whether you've got an adolescent, whether you've got an adult dog or a mature dog. Pardon me. If they are not used to being left alone, you need to get them used to it ASAP. Even if you're going to be working from home for the considerable future, even after lockdown, you still need to get them used to being left alone, because you're going to leave your house at some point, and you want to ensure that they are as calm as possible when you leave. They're not just stressed because they're not used to it. We don't want that. That's not good on the dog, and it's not good for your sanity either, especially if you're constantly like, oh, when they're stressed or they're destroying things or they're making loads of noise. So obviously it's for the welfare of you as well as for the welfare of your dog. So start small, start basic. First thing, make sure that attention is on your terms. Do not give your dog attention, or puppy, when I say dog I mean anything, when they are demanding it, whether this be subtly or not so subtly. So whining, pawing at you, barking at you, getting around your feet, jumping on you, things like this. Interaction should be initiated by you, because one, it gives them the opportunity to not have that interaction if they don't want it, and also it's on your terms. Okay, because if you're going to give them attention all the time, then they're less likely to do something when you ask them to do something, like in training, and they're more likely to freak out when they don't get the attention that they are used to. So whether that be at night time, you're struggling with them at night time, going to sleep either in your room in a crate or a bed or whatever, or in another room. If you're not making sure that attention is on your terms, that will be a lot more difficult for you. And also leaving them. They're going to be more stressed if they're used to having attention on tap, as it were. So make sure attention's on your terms. I also have a video on Abbey Tales Pet Services YouTube channel, having attention on your terms. Just put in attention on your terms, or even attention, and it will come up. Okay? Next, get them used to being left alone gradually. And this also relates to if your dog is following you around. If your dog is following you around, there are multiple things you can do. One, don't reinforce and encourage this behavior by actually interacting, engaging with them when they are following you around. Just ignore them, right? And if they don't just stop because they're bored, because you're not giving them any attention, then you can use commands such as popping them onto their bed. So having a command for getting onto their bed or crate or whatever, or multiple, is really helpful, especially in this circumstance. Working on stay, things like that, turning it into a training exercise. But the important thing is attention on terms, and not by accident reinforcing unwanted behavior. Then start leaving them alone for very small periods of time. Okay? How quickly you can increase these periods depends on you and your dog. Mainly on you. Okay? So leave them in a room. Don't say anything. You don't make a fuss. It's not the end of the world. You're just going. So you start it. This is why we start when you're just going to be leaving in another room, because you're not going. You're not leaving the room, the house. You're not going to feel guilty about leaving the room, hopefully, because you're not doing anything wrong. Leaving the house, you're not doing anything wrong, unless you're leaving them for a ridiculously long period of time. Then you are. But leave the room, return to the room almost immediately. Maybe take 3 or 5 Mississippis, or go and pop the kettle on. Don't make a cup of tea, just go and pop the kettle on. Return, even if they're making a fuss at this point, you just ignore them. So return, ignore, and you don't give them any interaction, including eye contact, until they have settled themselves down, calmed themselves down, without you saying anything. Now this will happen. You just have to be patient and consistent in this. If they've been used to having attention whenever they want it and not used to being left alone, this may take a little longer, but it will happen. Pardon me, if you are struggling with this, you are most welcome to message me. Okay? Then you can start to build those increments, increase those increments, right? So instead of just popping the kettle on, and this can be done, you can increase the time that they're being left in a day, or a few days, or a few hours. It depends on the dog and you and how you do this, okay? So go and actually make a cup of tea. You can practice this multiple times a day. Make a cup of tea, go to the toilet, have a shower, have these doors closed, whether the pup is in a crate, in a puppy pen, or out free. That's kind of your choice. Again, you can message me, but don't get them used to following you everywhere. Some people say, oh no, I can't go to the toilet or have a shower without them screaming. Well, you can, you just have to be persistent and don't bow down to their cute, pitiful demands, because they will eventually, some quicker than others will understand, oh, well, they're going to come back. It's not the end of the world. Oh, all right, fine. Okay? Then when you're happy with that, start leaving the actual house. But also, you can, if a trigger for them is you putting your shoes on, or popping your coat on, or picking up your car keys, and this also interlinks with getting excited to go for a walk, then desensitize them to you doing these things. So pop your shoes on, walk around for a bit, leave them on for a bit, put your coat on. Sounds a bit silly, but this is for the benefit of your dog. Pick your keys up, inspect them, pop them back down. Same with desensitizing them to you handling their collar and their lead, their harness, something like that. You just pick up, inspect. You should inspect them regularly anyway, but pop them back down. Don't make a fuss. How you leave them and how you greet them is very important. I do have a video about this. I've forgotten what it's called. If you pop in reuniting and Abby Tales Pet Services, it will come up on my YouTube. I can't remember the exact title that I popped, but it's something like how to effectively reunite with your dog. So leaving, like I said, don't say goodbye, don't make a fuss. If you're feeling guilty and sad inside, mask it. It will not help your dog. Okay? When you return to your dog, greeting maybe isn't the right term, but it's what everyone will understand. But you shouldn't excitedly, energetically greet your dog, and they shouldn't do that either. May seem like, oh, but they love me. Yes, they love you, but if they're jumping all over you, that's not respectful, that's not helpful for you, especially if you've got a large dog, but any dog. It's also going to show them that they can do that to anybody else. No, you don't want them to do that to your elderly grandma or visitors or things like that. And also, we don't want them to think that you leaving them is a big scary thing. And if you're like, oh, I'm back, yay, they're going to be like, oh my gosh. That's just a nutshell. But we want it to be calm, encouraging calm in general. All right, so that's getting the dog used to being left alone in a nutshell. Now on to juggling work from home. I think I've done a video for Cockapoo Charlie Chapman about working from home previously, in the previous lockdown. However, a few things to bear in mind when you're working from home. So, first and foremost, I know I've already said this, and I don't really want to put a downer on this video, but it is important to be blunt and honest. That is part of my job. So, if you're thinking about getting a dog and you haven't got one already, but you've analysed and you've decided you're going to have enough time, you're being realistic and truthful with yourself, don't get one when you've got loads of deadlines. If you've got loads of deadlines all the time, maybe not the best thing, but don't get one when you've got loads of deadlines, when you've got other things going on. You're going to need to allow time to show your pup, or even a rescue dog, but especially a pup, what is expected of them. And even if they're a easily manageable puppy, they're still going to need you throughout the day. You're going to need to let them out for multiple times to go to the toilet. You're going to need to give them attention. It needs to be on your terms, but you need to play with them, you need to train them, pop them away for a nap, things like that. So it is best to to bring an animal into your house when you've got some time, maybe take some time off, to establish certain things, and you get used to your new bundle of joy and them get used to you. But it's also important in that time to make sure that you're not just flooding them with attention, so that when it comes for you to go to work, whether that's working from home or leaving the house, it's not a massive change for them. So start with crate training, start with boundaries. Make sure you start very quickly with toilet training. Best to stay away from puppy pads, in my opinion. Just take them out regularly, and when you start taking them out regularly, then when they've got used to that, you can actually encourage them to ask to go out by themselves. Any questions about that, you are welcome to message me. I'm going to leave that now, so that's just under 15 minutes. Any questions, please do message me or Cockapoo Charlie Chapman, and keep sane, keep safe, and we'll get through this, don't you worry.